It's hot. It's too hot. Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff and welcome to another pre-race review. This is for round number 6 ahead of the Spanish Grand Prix. And my god is it warm. It's something like 28 degrees outside. I won't be closing my window. I've been driving for about half an hour. I'm not closing my window. I'm already sweaty. If there's any cars that go by, so be it. Anyway, we are here to talk about the Spanish Grand Prix. Around Catalonia, the testing track, hopefully it should actually be an okay race. But before we get into the pre-race review, we will quickly just go over the championships. At the moment, it is Max Verstappen that is currently P2, with Lewis Hamilton leading the way, still 30 points clear from second place. Lots of people are actually surprised that Verstappen is now second, which means that if Hamilton, like Verstappen and Bottas, has a DNF anytime soon, they're all going to be even Stevens, and Verstappen is genuinely going to be a title challenger. But anyway, we do also have Leclerc poking his nose up into 4th above that jumbled mess of the midfield, with Albon still struggling down into 6th or 7th. The 2 racing points as well above the Renaults and the McLarens. And as for the Constructors, it's still the same sort of late 60s sort of advantage for Mercedes, with Ferrari now 3rd ahead of McLaren, racing points still in front of Renault, even after their 15-point deduction, and AlphaTauri above the bottom 3. And with the championship recap over, we will sort of look at the weather, as the weather played a key part in Silverstone, you must say, with the tyres and the compounds as well. It was hot, and the Mercedes didn't like it. And it's going to be hot again. 31 degrees on Friday for Barcelona, 31 degrees again on Saturday, and 31 degrees yet again on the Sunday. Now, I am recording this on Tuesday, as I'm very busy this coming week, and I hope I can get this out on Thursday. But looking at it, it's going to be about the same sort of air temperature, if not a wee bit hotter than it was at Silverstone. However, the tyres are the hardest compounds, C1, C2 and C3, whereas at Silverstone for the 70th anniversary Grand Prix it was C2, C3 and C4. So I don't think we're going to see the tyres come into it. Lots of people are going to say, oh, it's Toto Wolff getting his way as always. These tyre selections are chosen months in advance of any race so they can get them all prepared and such, and they wouldn't want to bring soft tyres to Spain in the middle of August because they know they're just going to melt. It would be pointless. So to those people that say it's Toto Wolff getting his way, that's a bit of a silly argument in my opinion. But with that all out of the way, we will jump on into the review. And Red Bull will start us off with Max Verstappen, a solid win. It just outclassed the Mercedes. That he had the better tyre management, he was the quicker car when he needed to be, and it was honestly, I would say dominant. I would err towards dominant. He was able to push when he needed to, he was able to back off when he needed to, and he just controlled the race once he was in front. It was a good race. It was a good race for Max Verstappen. But do I think he's going to do well this weekend? Yes, he's going to do well. No, I don't think he's going to get a victory, unfortunately, as the tyres are going to suit Mercedes and the track is also going to suit that Mercedes as well. But looking at the other half of the garage, Alex Albon, he had a good race. Smashing overtakes around the outside of people from, I think it was like P9 to P5. Not that bad. He just needs to qualify better. He needs to close that half a second gap, and then he would have been 5th. He'd have been behind Verstappen, and they'd have both marched forwards on the Mercedes, and they could have got a double podium, Red Bull. They could have even outscored Mercedes in the Constructors' Chapter. Well, I think they actually did. But they could have outscored them a bit more if Albon was actually there. If only Albon could qualify just that little bit better, even if it was a couple tenths. He doesn't have to be right behind Verstappen, just a couple of tenths closer, and we could genuinely see some cracking Mercedes versus Red Bull battles. And talking about the Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas, he was sort of complaining at the team that they were caught sleeping, that they didn't react, or they didn't, like the strategy wasn't on point, they weren't focused enough, and also that he didn't get other people, not necessarily Bottas, but other people were complaining he didn't get the ideal strategy. He didn't get preferential treatment when he was the lead driver, and that went to Lewis Hamilton. But to that I say no, because Bottas did get the preferential treatment because he was the lead driver. He was reacting to Verstappen. Hamilton, they gambled. They weren't sure what they were doing, keeping him out. Look at the state of those tyres. They're shit. He stayed out just longer as a gamble, not as his race strategy. That was a thinking on the spot to get Hamilton to stay out to be different. Whereas Bottas got the preferential strategy in order to react to Verstappen to hopefully stay with him. It's just the tyres went off quicker than they were expecting, so he couldn't. And then obviously Hamilton was out for longer, was able to pit onto another set of hards and get past Bottas. But one interesting thing that I've sort of thought about is Mercedes had huge tyre issues. Not saying they were the only ones, as there were other teams with tyre issues, but they seem to be so quick. They are so quick in qualifying. They blitz around the track. They're much faster than anyone else. So is it possible that they are putting extra loads into the tyres through all of the corners? So imagine turn 3 in Spain, how much stress they're going to be putting on that front left tyre. It could genuinely be that Mercedes are, I don't want to say like that they're so good they're destroying the tyres, that the tyres aren't good enough for them, but that could be a contributing factor, that they're the team that is so quick that they've got this amount of downforce, that their car is so confident through the corners and it's on rails that it just slightly tears the tyres to shreds quicker than the other teams. Obviously I'm not an aerodynamicist and I'm not a tyre expert, so that could just be me talking out of my arse, but it could genuinely be a possibility. And now to Ferrari, Leclerc especially. He is dragging that car just, wow. Exceptional. I was going to say dragging that car to reaches it shouldn't be or to realms it shouldn't be, but yeah, it's astonishing. It's so cool watching Leclerc achieve all of these performances in a car that isn't the best. It's not the best car. Last year he had a very strong car and he was able to get race victories, and it's just seemed like it's like the Mercedes pairing now. They're always on the podium because they've got a strong car. Whereas now this year, he doesn't have a strong car, and to see him still be on the podium and still to be 4th in the Constructors' Championship, above the McLarens, above the Racing Points, that is impressive. That's very impressive. Very reminiscent of his 2018 Alfa Romeo days, or Sauber as it was then. He outperforms that car. He's doing exactly the same in this Ferrari. But on the other half of the garage, Sebastian Vettel, he's having a miserable old time, isn't he? Absolutely torrid time with Ferrari. I feel both parties are just done with each other. That's what I'm getting from this, is neither of them care anymore, I don't think. It's so obvious now that they're focusing on Leclerc. To say that they're sabotaging or forgotten about Vettel is harsh and not true, but they definitely, their attention is no longer on Vettel. Their attention is now on Leclerc. And it's not helping Vettel's case that he's still spinning and having incidents on his own, but then it's also not helping him when the team just pit him whenever the hell to get him out of the way of Charles Leclerc and biff him off into traffic. They're both not helping each other, and it's a very what's that word? Ignominious? I don't know. There's a word that just says it's a very bad ending to their partnership. And Racing Point, hopefully we might just see Sergio Perez back. It's going to be sad to see Hulkenberg go yet again. He really needs another drive for next year, but I'm not sure where it's going to come from. I feel the Red Bull door is, I don't know, maybe a quarter open, maybe a fifth open. The only doors that are really probably fully open are Haas and Alfa Romeo, as they've got both seats up and running. It's going to be interesting to see if we see Hulk next year. But anyway, if we see Sergio Perez back, that's going to be a positive as well for the team. But as for their race pace, it sort of bewildered me. They have a strong car. Like, don't get me wrong, they have a very strong car, and they know they've got a strong car. But they haven't really had the race results to prove it. They've still got no podiums when Ferrari have got 2 and McLaren's got 1. They've been 4th, they've been 5th, they've been 6th. They're doing decent in the Constructors' Championship, even with the 15 points taken away. But it's still not as strong as people were expecting. And I really don't know what to expect when we go to Spain, as there's just an abundance of data that I feel they might just get caught out, again. They'll do well in qualifying, but they just won't do so well in the race. And where are we up to next? Looking at my little list, it is Renault and Esteban Ocon. He started P14 last time out and finished P8, I think it was, scoring some points, not bad. It wasn't an overly impressive drive though. I was expecting a little bit more, because remember, Ocon was always tipped to be the young Mercedes prodigy alongside Pascal Wehrlein, until Pascal Wehrlein was dropped as he didn't get on with the Racing Point mechanics. But he hasn't really put in the performances yet. Fully aware that he's had a year out, and that's to be expected. You may not do so well on your year back, but still, it just needs a little bit of a boost, a little bit better of a performance, and especially does Daniel Ricciardo. 70th anniversary Grand Prix, that is a race to forget. Honestly, he needs to forget this one quickly. Qualifying, incredible, P5, strong. Everyone was hoping for a great result for both Hulkenberg and Ricciardo, but it just didn't quite work out, unfortunately. He had a little spin, which didn't help his course, whether he had tyre issues or whether strategy wasn't on point. He ended up P14. Spain, again, I'm not too sure. I feel qualifying is going to go well for Renault again. They might just get one car only into Q3, but the race, again, I don't know. It's going to be a difficult one, I feel, for them to actually get in front. I feel the McLarens are going to do better in Spain than they have done the past two races, and I don't think Renault are going to beat them. They'll probably, again, be 8th, maybe 7th. And off to AlphaTauri now, and Danny Kvyat. He had a decent race. He had the race that he needed in the 70th anniversary Grand Prix at Silverstone, scoring some points and out-racing his teammate Pierre Gasly, who, again, is probably one of the drivers of the season, you know. Really outperforming that car, showing that he is a top-class driver and why he was chosen by Red Bull to move up. He just prefers this atmosphere to the Red Bull atmosphere, and this is why I should have closed my window, not my door. Ugh. But as for pinning down where exactly they're going to be, it's always difficult with AlphaTauri, I find especially. I've said this a lot, and they just shuffle so much that I find it really hard to just pinpoint. They're going to get some points. They're definitely going to get some points, and looking at the track record this year, most likely Pierre Gasly. Where in the points? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Whether he's going to be 10th like Kvyat was just now, or whether he's going to be P7 like he was 2 weeks ago, I don't know. But yes, he's going to score some points. And to the team that might just struggle, McLaren. Or, you never know, might do better. They had a weekend to forget in the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Qualifying wasn't ideal. One car only into Q3 and finished where he started. That was Lando Norris. P9 and then P9 at the flag. It was disappointing actually. They just didn't seem to have any pace. They didn't seem to be anywhere and weren't doing anything. Whereas last weekend and then the 3 races before that in both Austria and Hungary, they were strong. And it just seemed to fall apart for them this weekend. They did seem to have some tyre issues similar to the Mercedes pair, but I don't know. It didn't seem right this year, fitting, I suppose. This is definitely an outlier race for them. And they probably will go stronger in Spain, as it's harder tyres, so they should go easier on them. And then also the same sort of weather conditions that we've been used to. And as for Carlos Sainz, it's his home Grand Prix, so he's obviously going to get a little boost from that. But to see him not even move forward, not even progress in the race, P13 in qualifying and then P13 again in the race, it was really not Carlos Sainz, not the driver we've watched go to best of the rest last year, not the driver that's... Yeah, it's an odd one last week. It's definitely a race weekend to forget, and they should do better this weekend. And coming up on the last 3 teams, we've got Alfa Romeo. Yeah, they weren't that bad, were they? 70th anniversary Grand Prix, they didn't do too badly. Outraced a Haas and also both Williamses as well. Definitely positive notes to take away. They are still a little bit on the slow side, which is a little bit of a shame, especially for Kimi Räikkönen, and I suppose also Antonio Giovinazzi progressing through the sport. But yeah, they're going to struggle again, aren't they? They're definitely going to struggle again. There's that whopping great big straight going down, yeah, you know where the straight is, it's the whopping great big straight in Spain. Then it's all sort of tight, twisty, twiddly-widdly bits in the middle, and I think they're going to definitely struggle. But their race pace seems to be better than those around them. It's just their qualifying pace is shocking. And penultimately, we have Williams, a team that's qualifying pace has dramatically improved since last year, consistently now getting into Q2. And as Norris has said, the novelty has worn off. The novelty of a Q2 appearance has worn off. That is what he's now going to be expecting every race this remaining season. So now he's looking for something more. He's looking for points, or he's looking for Q3. Preferably points, as sometimes Q3 can bugger you up if you're a slightly smaller team, because you have to get through on the fastest tyre, which is not ideal for starting the race. So preferably he's looking for some points. And that would help a lot. But do I think they're going to come in Spain? Unless it's a hectic race, unless there is some safety cars in the middle of it, not in the first 10 laps because it's a 66 lap race. They need to come in the middle or in the latter half, and they need to be up there, because if the longer the race goes on, the more Williams fall back. So I suppose the safety cars got to come between the first half and then the 3/4 mark. That's when the safety cars got to fall in order for them to bunch up and not fall too far behind and then take advantage of it. But how likely is that going to happen? No, probably not very. And finally, Haas. Again, a team I think that have done okay this season so far. They've got 1 point on the board. Should have been 2 because of a bullshit penalty. But 1 point on the board. They were looking for more, I suppose. Yeah, everyone's looking for more points. Spain, again, hard one. Ferrari power unit, going to struggle on the straights unless they whack all the downforce off, but then they're going to be really slow in Sector 3. It's going to be a compromise, and that's what they're going to have to use Practice 1 and Practice 2 for. So I suppose that could be a good case for getting rid of the practice sessions, because then you don't have the time to get it all right and find that compromise. But Grosjean seems to be doing better than Magnussen, you know. Actually seems to be getting in some decent performances, out-qualifying him and out-racing him into Q2 last weekend, so I see no reason why he shouldn't this weekend. But it's gonna be a struggle, unfortunately. And that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed that video, and I will catch you in the next one with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.